Hey, are you okay?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm thriving.
Okay, but actually...
Uh, the Tribrigade people got back to me. They were very specific. They said they're only looking for 3 main deck monsters at this time, so what are you gonna do?
Oh, you haven't heard?
Heard what?
They hired a 4th Tribrigade. Her name's Kit.
Kit? Oh, well, maybe she's like a diversity hire or something. So.
Oh, well, she's a cat girl.
She's a cat. They already have a cat girl. What do you think Flagette is? Oh my god. All right, okay. All right, I'm not gonna let it get to me. I did make some potentially problematic social media posts in which I questioned the efficacy of their mercenary organization. I'm going to kill Fractar! Maybe I'll hit up the virtual world people. I got rejected from them a couple of weeks ago. They said they only wanted 5 main deck monsters tops, but we'll see.
Oh, you haven't heard?
Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. Well, I'm sorry to report that ZOODIAC TRI-BRIGADE, thought to be the second best deck before the ban list, has lost ZOODIAC DRIDENT. This unfortunate casualty has plummeted this once promising deck all the way down to first place. What the fuck? So here's the list. This is stolen directly from Herman Hansen after his second place finish in the most recent Remote Duel Invitational, so you're not allowed to talk shit about the deck building. Rescue Cat truthers are not welcome here. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. You may have seen every single person with a YouTube channel and a cursory knowledge of Yu-Gi-Oh! Doing a progression series. Well, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is the pack opening tool that they're using. It's also got a deck builder, a card database, and a wealth of strategy articles. It's where I post the Chalice Line monthly deck breakdowns as well, so give it a look at www.ygoprodeck.com. So with that, let's dip our toes. Dip our toes? Christ, who wrote this? Into Tribrigade. Tribrigade is a series of Beast, Beast Warrior, and Winged Beast type monsters that I'm going to call Tri-types so that I don't have an aneurysm. Each one has the same effect. You can banish some number of Tri-types from your graveyard to cheat out a Tri-type Link monster with the same number of materials. It's a simple, consistent deck with intuitive plays, a low ceiling, and the ability to go first or second, which is why it has a unique position among these Stephen Hawking tier 39-minute VW setup plays or Drytron's access code or bust lines if they lose the die roll. Of course, this begs the question, how the hell did this deck become the top dog, flying dog, and dog with a sword? It's one of the least explosive and least unfair decks to ever occupy the best spot, and it's doing so with a suite of monsters that have an Effect Veiler-sized target on their head and a best board of 2 Appaloosa Negates and a Banish. What has happened since 2018, when people were making Avogadro's number of negates and a U-Link, and now, when you start sweating if your opponent normal summons a Kit, makes Almirage, and passes? The short version is, it's consistent and it's adaptable. Unlike Drytron, it can change its game plan based on the opponent's deck, swapping out Apo lines for Ray and the Ancient Warrior Link, and unlike VW, it doesn't brick 60% of the time. Historically, Tribrigade was strong from their first printing, but they didn't scratch the surface of Tier 1 until the release of Bear Broom, which searches Tribrigade Revolt, their thematic return from the different dimension. Before Bear, Tribrigade was played in Bird Up as a way to cheat out Simorg, Apex Avion, and Barrier statues, and in ZOODIAC as a supplementary engine to Drident Pass. May she rest in peace. These monsters were splashable enough that they even showed up in some more suspect builds, among them Harpies, Fire Fist, and Melfi. None of these, however, came close to the power currently found in Pure. With that, let's get into the card by card. First, our enormous hand trap suite. 3 Ash Blossom, 2 Phantasme, 2 Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion, and 2 Effect Veiler. For zoos, we're only on 3, Rat Pier and 2 Thoroughblade. These are the ones that put another zoo from your hand or deck into the graveyard, important for Chakanine setups. For Tri-Brigades, we are pretty much maxed out. 3 Fractar, 2 Karos, 3 Kit, and 3 Nerval. For spells, we're on 3 copies of Pot of Desires, 3 Shared Ride, a Called by the Grave, a Zoodiac Barrage, and 3 Fire Formation Tanky. Finally, bringing up the rear in traps is 3 Infinite Impermanence and 3 Tribrigade Revolt, the lifeblood of this deck. You can special summon a number of Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monsters that are banished or in your graveyard, negate their effects, and then immediately link summon a Tribrigade monster using only those monsters. This will proc their effects provided they activate in the graveyard, so you're going +3 or 4 off of this card alone. In the extra deck, we're on Zeus, obviously very good in a deck with Zeus. Speaking of, Tiger Mortar, Chakanine, and Borbo are pretty much all we're playing. We're on 2 copies of Shrike. This is because the second Shrike is going to disrupt your opponent, and the first one is usually part of your setup combo. We've got Access Code Talker, just in case everything goes wrong, Appaloosa as part of an end board, Ray in order to get cards out of the graveyard, Rugal in order to combo with Shrike in board states where you have to just recur advantage over the course of several turns, Bear Broom as part of your first turn combo, 2 Flagette. The first one is really good for starting your combo, and the second one is really good for continuing it. 1 copy of, wow, Double Dragon Lords, the sleeper hit of the Ancient Warriors engine. This card is absolutely bonkers. It bounces cards to the hand, which is extremely powerful in a deck that already covers so many other bases, and Almirage for very bad hands where you have to link off a kit. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Bujin Tribrigade, and ho, I guess we shall truly see who is the more optimal Tribrigade pilot. Spoiler alert, it's going to be the deck that is not playing cards from 2013. We're going to begin with a copy of Ratpier, and Ratpier plus Kit is about as good as it gets. We're going to send a copy of Thoroughblade before ranking all the way up into a Chakanine. The point here is to just get as many Beast Warriors in the graveyard as possible. We will go ahead and link summon a copy of Flagette, then activate Flagette's effect in order to summon a Kit, and Kit's effect in order to summon a Shrike. We can use the graveyard effect of Shrike on our first turn if we're feeling greedy. We'll trigger the effect of Flagette and the effect of Kit. We're going to make a Bear Broom here. We'll activate the effect of Nerval to get a copy of Karos, and then activate Karos's effect. We'll summon it and then activate its effect for 2 in order to go into double Dragon Lords before making a 3-mat Appaloosa. This is a little higher than the usual ceiling of the deck. You're usually ending on a 2-mat Appaloosa and nothing else but a Revolt. In this case, we're also going for the Dragon Lords at the expense of maybe a couple of cards in hand. Our opponent's going to go for Tanky. Afterwards, we're going to normal summon a copy of Torifune. That's a fantastic Appaloosa negate. Next, they're going to summon a copy of Harume, and oh my god, that challenges the Appaloosa. We'll activate Revolt in battle phase. They'll activate Airborne. We'll chain the effect of Double Dragon Lords, and because their monster is no longer on the field, that spell is going to fizzle. Do not at me, judges. We'll go into a Shrike again and neglect to banish. We'll activate the effect of Kit and Nerval and Bear Broom in graveyard in order to stock up not only on Tribrigades, but also on a Revolt for next turn. Our opponent's going to go for another Bujin, which we will negate, and a Fractar, which is their last activatable monster effect. Our Appaloosa is down to 0, and that extra negate paying off. Now it's time to BM. We're going to go for Double Dragon Lords in order to bounce this copy of Tanky. I find that pretty funny. We'll normal summon a copy of Karos, and oh god dang it. Okay, well, I guess we shouldn't have done that. We'll get in for almost lethal, but not quite, before setting a Revolt and passing it back to our opponent. Our opponent's going to activate this Tanky. Gee, how did that get in their hand? But thankfully we do have an Ash. Next, we're going to normal summon a copy of Karos, activate its effect for 2, and then we will respond with a Veiler. Thankfully, we did not get punished, which means that it was just extended BM, not a misplay. We'll activate the effect of Double Dragon Lords at end step, and then trigger the effect of Shrike in order to have more material for next turn. Now that we are no longer locked under there can be only 1, we can Karos for 3 and go into a copy of Ray. Ray is too big for our opponent to handle. So it's time for game 2, and our opponent is playing Magic-Key. I have no idea what this deck does. Hopefully it will become apparent over the course of this game. By the way, is that Havram? Can someone please explain to me the lore implications behind this archetype? We're going first again. We're going to begin with a copy of Pot of Desires, and we'll normal summon a copy of Thoroughblade, and wouldn't you know it, we banished every other Zoodiac in the deck. From here, we're going to rank up from Borbo into Chakanine into Tiger Mortar, and then we're going to have to get creative, summoning the Karos not as an extender, but as material for a Flagette. Gosh. We'll use Flagette's effect to summon a copy of Kit, then we'll Kit for 4 to get a copy of Shrike onto our side of the field. That's going to make a Bear Broom. We can trigger both the Shrike and the Kit to add more cards to our hand. Most of them are going to get tucked back anyway, and then go into a 2-mat Appaloosa. We'll activate the effect of Flagette. Oh, thank God, a hand trap. And then grab ourselves a copy of Revolt as well. This is still a pretty fantastic setup. Our opponent's going to begin with a copy of Magic-Key Unsealing, which is just a crazy card. They'll activate the effect and get the gun. They'll activate Unexpected Die for an Angel Trumpeter, then normal summon a copy of Clavis. We're going to activate Revolt as they go to the battle phase, we can at least banish one of them, and probably the magic key is more important. We'll trigger the effect of Flaget and the effect of Shrike and the effect of Nerval all in sequence, and get ourselves a copy of Kit before they walk over our Appaloosa. No big deal. They're going to go for the spell now, Ritual Summoning a Betos Burster. They'll activate that effect. We'll Veiler. I imagine that's too strong to be left alive. They'll go for the Djinn in hand, and then Link Spider out their last remaining normal monster before, making Halka Fibrax. I probably have to infip this. I don't want to die to Auroradon. They're going to go for the Djinn and activate its effect, reanimating the ritual spell, which is a machine. Oh my god, we're going to die to Auroradon anyway. Well, without 001 in contention, they're just going to be able to use it to destroy a card on the field. And since this is happening in main phase 2, I know I'm not dead here. And if I'm not dead, I'm probably winning. Our opponent's going to go for the Synchro. This pops anything with the same attribute as a monster I have in the graveyard, and the Counter Trap, which negates spell traps. But they don't have a wind yet, and I'm not activating spells. We're going to go for Shingalong and put that Synchro back into the hand. We'll go ahead and activate the effect of Nerval as well, so we can get a Kairos to our side of the field. We're going to Kairos for 3 here. We'll go into a Ray and then activate Ray's effect in order to shuffle back the Djinn before making our oh god, something has gone horribly wrong button, aka access code talker. Let's go ahead and eat as much as possible here. The field spell, the Auroradon, the set spell trap, and let's grab one of the tokens as well. Always good to put any damage on the board, especially when we don't even have lethal on the crackback necessarily. Our opponent draws a Gamma. Oh, unfortunate, and passes it back to us. Time to flex just a little bit. We're going to normal summon a copy of Fractar, activate its effect for 3. They're going to Gamma, and we are going to Ghost Bell. Take that, sucker. We'll go ahead and summon a copy of Rugal, go to the battle phase, and get in for lethal with access code. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing Drytron, and this is a very good hand. Our opponent's is a little lacking, so hopefully we can take advantage of that. We're going to begin with a copy of Zoodiac Barrage for a Rat Pier. Unfortunately, because we don't have another Zoodiac, we can't go for the sick Chakanine play. Instead, we're going to have to normal summon a Kit to make it to Flaget, which is fine. We'll trigger the effect of the Nerval in Graveyard to get a Kairos, then activate the effect of Flaget to summon this Fractar from our hand. We'll Fractar for 4 in order to get a copy of Shrike to our side of the field before we make Bear Broom, and trigger the effect of Shrike in order to add a monster from our deck to our hand. We'll go for Appaloosa, and though we could use Kairos here to get double Dragon Lords, I think it's probably worth not investing more material, just setting the Revolt, passing on 2 hand traps. Our opponent's going to go for a Drytron Nova for an Alpha. They'll go to the battle phase, and we will activate Revolt, summoning 4 monsters, and then linking them away immediately to make a Shrike. We'll use the Shrike to banish the Alpha, and god, does that feel good. We're going to go ahead and trigger all these effects in the graveyard, chain blocking the ones that we actually want to resolve, and in main phase 2, our opponent's going to try and make plays. We'll Appaloosa here, and they will activate triple Tactical Talents on Rez, which is kind of a problem. We need our Appaloosa on our side of the field. They'll go for Gamma in order to go into a Mubeta Fafnir. They'll trigger the effect in order to send a Meteonis. We'll go ahead and Ghost Spell the Meteonis. They'll Appaloosa, and we'll Veiler the Appaloosa so they can't Ritual Summon over the course of the turn. I feel pretty good about that, and they feel terrible, surrendering and going to game 2. So it's time for game 2, and as anyone who has ever played against Drytron can tell you, this is not where you want to be, staring down a Drytron first turn board without any hand traps. They're going to go Cyber Emergency into an Alpha effect to get a copy of Ben 10, then trigger the effect of Zeta, pitching the Ben 10, so they can trigger the effect of Ben 10 and get themselves a copy of Diviner of the Herald. Why is this card searchable off of Ben 10? They've got a Meteonis in rotation as well. They'll go ahead and get an E.10 before going into Mu Beta Fafnir, sending a Gamma and Meteonising out an E.10, putting it back, and now with 2 6s they can overlay for a Beatrice. They'll do that and then send from deck to graveyard a copy of Eva. They'll activate Eva's effect to get a couple of monsters to their hand before activating Meteonis again in order to get Ben 10, trigger Gamma, tributing Ben 10. Why is there no hard once per turn on this card? Adding a copy of Natasha to hand and activating Meteonis an additional time. From here they can activate Delta's effect to draw a card, I suppose. They're going to activate Meteonis in order to cycle back for Herald of Ultimateness and end on Linkaribo Masquerena Pass with 5 cards in hand. Let's see if we can do it. We're going to activate, in response to the Ava, a Shared Ride. They're going to Herald this. We can't chain the other Shared Ride because its activation has to be negated before we can try again. We're going to go ahead and activate Tanky. They will Herald. Okay, let's try out Pot of Desires. They will Herald that as well. All right, I mean, maybe the Zoodiac Barrage? Nope, there's Herald once again. All right, how about the Zoodiac Thoroughblade? Okay, well, this one at least fetches the Masquerena. They'll go for a Nightmare Unicorn in order to shuffle it back. We will set 1 and pass. Our opponent will draw for turn. We'll get access coded, chaining the Shared Ride here at our earliest convenience just to run into a Herald of Ultimateness. And the writing is on the wall here. They're going to get a Nova, activate Nova, and we'll surrender. So it's time for that all-important game 3, and oh, come on! This deck has so few brick hands, and somehow we found one. Okay, we're gonna go Kit into Almirage, into Nerval, into passing turn. Any other tri-type in hand would have turned to this entire hand on. Hopefully this shared ride can get there. Our opponent's going to go for Alpha. We'll change shared ride, and they will neglect to resolve Alpha's effect, adding something. God, hand must be that good, huh? They're going to go for Mu Beta Fafnir. We will effect Veiler. Unfortunately, this turns on their triple tactical talents. They're going to draw a couple of cards and proceed to the battle phase, getting in for 4,000. Then making a Zeus and passing. That's kind of sick, committing as absolutely little as necessary under the shared ride. We draw another hand trap. We'll go for this copy of Fractar. We'll send a copy of Kit and send a copy of Nerval, triggering the Nerval in order to get another Fractar to hand. We're going to normal summon that bad boy, and our opponent, unfortunately, can just Zeus us here. They'll draw for turn. There are very few ways they would not be able to find lethal here. They're going to go for Alpha, follow it up with a copy of Gamma, which for some reason we can't Ghost Bell. Can someone explain to me why this is? That's enough just to attack us to death, but they are going to go into Lil Fucko first. We will Veiler this Zeus and concede. So we're back with the deck, and well, aside from that abysmal last game, we did fine. None of our wins were particularly close, and all of our losses were to bricks or ultimateness. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. The deck is really, really good. It churns out advantage like nobody's business, creates extremely gummy board states, and capitalizes really well on small mistakes. 2, the Zoos are hilarious. Obviously, they excel at making Zeus into established boards, but they're also crazy as just a 4-stack before committing to any plays. It's like painful choice from the extra deck. And 3, the extra space in the deck being filled with hand traps is a godsend. Somehow, after 19 consecutive combo formats, we finally weaseled ourselves into a place where hand traps are good again. And the cons. 1, occasionally you brick on normal summons. You really want to use Kairos as a late part of your combo, but that's not always possible. Oftentimes you are going Kit into Almirage, which is a devastating place to be. 2, it's a hard deck to play. I don't mean like you have to memorize a bunch of YouTube combos. You actually have to be playing with respect to your opponent, deciding when to overcommit and when to hold back. That's not very easy to learn. And 3, it can't stand up to Magic-y. 0 out of 10. All in all, this deck is very, very good, and I'm looking forward to seeing it develop further. That is that. As always, thanks to my patrons Dominic Ernst, Hakuo, AGBYGO, Alex Perea, BB Poison, Blue Fanfiction Inc., Brandon Green, Chibi Gohan, Connor Kid, Crispy, Dimsum05, Dubs Rewatcher, Frosty, Jack Sack PhD, King Magic Ruler, Night Mary, Kylie Denton, Major Rusty, Matt, Mike Carlotti, Rocky Hernandez, Rose Lapine, Sarah Rutledge, Sean Alling Jr., Space Condor, Space Dandy 1993, Adam Trevino, Adrian Bra, Afro Ninja 123, Alex Dominguez, Alfred Hendricks, Amaranta V, Andrew Benson, Andrew Ferruia, Andrew Horseman, Apex TCG, Ballin Stalin, Paste Madoka, Billy Williams, Blackacre, Blake Root, Bleb, Brendan Keys, Breaker the Outrage, Candide, Captain Breadbeard, Chad Bortz, Chad Weatherington, Chase Smith, Torps Away, CJ Alex, Cole Shulian, Colin Gustafson, Control for the Win, Crystal Red Fox, Daffy Deathclock, Dan the Man Hoban, Danny Guadalupe, Darcy Tevz, Dive Missile, Dogma, Doug Parslow, Dr. Batman, Dying Eyes, Dylan Charles Appleton, Distrin, Eileen Sappho, Emperor Stove, Ernesto Ibarra, Fighting Fangwong, Fisker Whiskers, FUTR, Game of Wolf, Gavin K, Hank Cheesecake, Helios the Helios, Haroof, How to Lose, Jose Mina, Incredibly Slow, Isaac Jackson, Jane Linya, Jason Leonard, Jay Gordon, Jeff Leonard, Jesse Cox, Jonathan Wallace, Jupe, Jose Luis Cortez, Joy Orjon, Julia Chulian, Callie, Corey Hess, Kurakaze, Lake Bayer, Lawrence, Leah Lisbets, Lottie, Lovra Plesse, Lucas Engels, Lucas Gierdes, Lucas Arizo Hansen, Major Duncan, Matthew Taylor, Max, Meadow Edits, Mezzo Emrys, Michael Oskavark, Michael Smith, Miles Edgelord, Mimes Are Creepy, Miska Aronin, Miyuna Arashi, Nick Extreme 99, Niru Soup, Nitro Skull, Nix Dolores, Noom, No Penguin, Omase, One Glad Morning, Austrin, Papa Dragonite, Par 2, Picnic Blast It. Please don't ban LP. How'd that work out for you, buddy? Precise Bike 13, Pro FP2, Riley Malo, Sam Pinney, Sapphic Ashley, Scrafted, Sean Deal, Sean Flynn, Sandoria, Serafine, Shy, Standards Objective, Swinkles, Tate Rosencutter, The Carl Moxley, The Saucy Pickle, This Machine 237, Thought Auditor, Why Am I Here, Yordle Hihu, Yuri's Best, and Yukie. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing. And if you want to be part of the process, consider following me on Twitch as well. See you next time.